The Texas road had no mercy in it. It stretched flat and pale beneath the afternoon sun, a long scar of dust and crushed limestone that cut through mesquite and dry grass like a careless wound. Heat shimmered above it in silver waves, bending the horizon until the land itself looked tired of standing upright. Even the cicadas had gone quiet, as if the day had burned their voices away. She lay just off the road, half hidden in the weeds. Her name, though no one knew it yet, was Clara Mayfield, and she had been crying for so long that tears no longer came. Her face was streaked with dust and salt, her lips cracked, her throat raw from calling out to a sky that did not answer. One shoe was gone, the other hung loosely from her foot, held on by a torn strap. Her dress, once pale blue, was stained brown with dirt and darker still where blood had soaked through at the hem. Every few minutes, she tried to push herself up. Every time, her arms failed. The pain in her ankle flared sharp and white, stealing her breath. She bit down on her lip to keep from screaming again. Screaming wasted air, screaming wasted strength, and strength was the only thing she had left. The car that abandoned her was already gone, hours ago, maybe more. It had vanished in a cloud of dust, carrying away the last person who might have helped her. Or harmed her. She wasn't sure which hurt more. Clara turned her face toward the road, squinting through swollen eyes. Nothing. No wagons. No riders. No cars. Just heat and silence. Her mind drifted, slipping backward in broken pieces. The argument. The shouting. The sharp turn of the steering wheel. The sudden stop. The door flying open. Get out, he'd said. Not yelled. Not begged. Just said it. And when she hesitated, when she clutched her small canvas bag to her chest like it might save her, he'd grabbed her arm and dragged her out onto the road like she weighed nothing at all. She remembered stumbling, falling, the crack in her ankle when it twisted wrong against the hard ground. She remembered the car door slamming shut. She remembered the way he never looked back. Now the sun was sinking lower, its light turning orange and cruel, and the shadows grew longer. Evening in Texas came fast. And with it came cold. Coyotes, snakes, things that moved when the world stopped watching. Clara swallowed hard. I can't die here, she thought. But the thought didn't carry much strength with it. It floated weakly in her head, like a prayer she wasn't sure anyone was listening to anymore. She dragged herself a few inches closer to the road, leaving a thin line in the dust behind her. Each movement sent fire through her leg. Her vision blurred again, not from tears this time, but from dizziness. That's when she heard it. At first, it sounded like the wind. A low, distant rumble. Clara froze, heart pounding. She pressed her palm against the ground and listened, afraid to hope, afraid it was only another trick of the empty land. The sound grew louder, hoofbeats, slow, steady, real, her breath caught in her chest. A horse came into view over the rise in the road, its coat dark against the sunlit dust. The rider sat tall in the saddle, broad-shouldered, moving with the easy balance of someone who had spent most of his life there. A cowboy, real, not the kind from posters or stories. His hat was pulled low, shadowing his face, and a coil of rope hung from the saddle horn. Clara tried to lift her arm. It barely moved. Her voice came out as a broken whisper. Help. The cowboy's horse slowed before he even reached her. The animal's ears flicked forward, nostrils flaring as it sensed something wrong. The rider followed the horse's gaze, his head turning sharply to the side. He saw her. He pulled the reins back, boots settling deep into the stirrups. As the horse came to a stop, for a long moment, he didn't move. Clara couldn't read his expression from where she lay. All she could see was his outline against the light, tall and still, like part of the land itself. Fear rose in her chest. Old fear, learned fear. What if he didn't help? What if he looked and rode on? The cowboy swung down from the saddle. His boots hit the ground with a soft thud, sending a puff of dust into the air. He approached slowly, hands open at his sides, movements careful, like he didn't want to scare a wounded animal. Easy, he said, voice low and rough, worn smooth by wind and years. You're all right now. The words hit her harder than anything else had. You're all right now. Clara's body shook as the last of her strength gave out. Her vision narrowed, the edges darkening. She felt herself slipping, falling inward. No, she whispered. Please, don't leave me. The cowboy knelt beside her immediately. Hey, hey, he said, urgency creeping into his voice. I'm right here. I ain't going anywhere. He touched her shoulder. Gentle, solid, real. Not grabbing, not forcing, just grounding. That was when she finally cried. Not quiet tears, but deep, broken sobs that tore out of her chest, carrying hours of fear and pain with them. She clutched at his sleeve like a drowning person finding shore. The cowboy let her. He stayed still, letting her cry it out, his presence steady as the earth beneath them. When her sobs eased into shuddering breaths, he spoke again. What's your name? Clara, she managed. I'm Ethan Walker, he said. You're hurt, Clara. Bad. My ankle, she whispered. I can't stand. He nodded, already seeing the swelling, the way her foot lay at the wrong angle. His jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. All right, we'll take care of that. You been out here long? She shook her head, then winced and stopped moving altogether. Since midday, I think. Ethan exhaled slowly through his nose. That's too damn long. He took off his hat and set it beside her, shading her face from the sun. Then he reached for his canteen, unscrewed the cap, and held it near her lips. Small sips, he said. Don't rush it. The water was warm, but it might as well have been heaven. Clara drank carefully, hands trembling. Thank you, she whispered. Ethan studied her face, the bruises beginning to darken along her jaw, the fear still clinging to her eyes. He didn't ask questions, not yet. Some stories needed time. He glanced up and down the empty road. No one else with you. She shook her head. Car passed by. No. His expression hardened, something protective flashing there like a drawn blade. He stood, walked a few steps, and scanned the horizon. Nothing but dust and distance. When he returned, his decision was already made. My ranch is about 3 miles west, he said. Got a house, water, a phone. I'll get you there. Clara's eyes widened. I don't want to be trouble. Ethan gave a short, humorless laugh. Ma'am, you're lying broken on a road in this heat. Trouble already found you. I'm just helping it leave. He slipped one arm under her shoulders, the other beneath her knees. I'm gonna lift you now, he warned gently. It's gonna hurt some. She nodded, biting down on her sleeve as he raised her carefully. Pain flared, sharp and blinding, but she didn't scream. She trusted him, not because she knew him, but because the land itself seemed to have sent him. He settled her onto his horse, adjusting the saddle blanket to cushion her leg. Then he mounted behind her, steadying her with one strong arm. As the horse turned back toward the west, the road behind them stretched empty once more. But Clara was no longer alone on it, and somewhere deep inside her, beneath the pain, beneath the fear, something small and fragile began to live again. Hope. The sun dipped low as Ethan Walker guided his horse off the road and toward the land he called home. Clara felt every step of the animal beneath her, slow, careful, as if the horse itself understood she was broken. The rhythm was steady, almost soothing, but the pain in her ankle pulsed with each movement, a dull fire that flared whenever the saddle shifted. She focused on breathing, on the sound of wind brushing through dry grass, on the solid warmth of Ethan's arm around her waist keeping her upright. She hadn't been held like this in a long time. Not gently, not without expectation. The ranch appeared gradually, rising from the land like something grown rather than built. A weathered wooden fence leaned into the earth, its posts silvered by years of sun and rain. Beyond it sat a low house with a wide porch, its roof rusted red and its windows glowing faintly as dusk crept in. A barn stood farther back, broad and quiet, the smell of hay drifting on the air. Home. Ethan slowed the horse to a stop near the porch and swung down first. He kept one hand on Clara at all times, grounding her as he helped her down with care. When her injured foot brushed the ground, she gasped sharply. Easy, he murmured. I got you. He carried her again, strong arms steady, steps measured. She noticed details she hadn't earlier. The creak of the porch boards, the chipped white paint on the doorframe, the way the house smelled faintly of coffee and old wood. It smelled safe. Ethan nudged the door open with his shoulder and stepped inside. The house was simple, a wooden table near the window. 2 chairs, a small stove against the wall, shelves lined with jars and worn books. No clutter, no excess, Just what a man needed to live and work. He laid her gently on the couch near the hearth, propping her injured leg up with a folded blanket. "There," he said softly. "Stay put. I'm gonna get a lantern and take a look at that ankle proper." Clara nodded, suddenly exhausted beyond words. Her body trembled now that it no longer had to hold itself together. She stared at the ceiling, watching shadows stretch and bend as the last light faded outside. Ethan returned moments later, lantern in hand. He knelt by her foot, careful as he unwound the torn strap of her shoe. "Tell me if it's too much," he said. "It already is," she whispered, then felt embarrassed by the honesty of it. Ethan huffed a quiet breath. Not laughter, not judgment. Understanding. He examined the swelling, his brow furrowing. "It's bad. Could be broken. Definitely sprained hard." Her throat tightened. "I can't afford a doctor." Ethan glanced up at her then, his gaze steady. "Didn't say you could. Said we'd take care of it." The word "we" hit her harder than pain. He cleaned the dried blood from her skin, his hands sure and gentle, wrapping the ankle with cloth and splinting it as best he could. Every touch was deliberate, respectful, never lingering, never rough. When he was done, he leaned back on his heels. "You hungry?" She blinked. I don't know." "Means yes," he said, standing. "Most folks don't know they are till someone asks." He moved to the stove, lighting it with practiced ease. The sound of metal and flame filled the quiet house. Clara listened, her eyes following him as he worked, the way he belonged in the space like the furniture itself. She didn't realize how tense she'd been until she felt it start to ease. A few minutes later, he brought her a bowl of stew and a piece of bread. "Eat slow," he said again, setting it on a small table near her. "Ain't in a rush." She ate carefully, each bite warming her from the inside out. Tears stung her eyes again, unexpected and unwelcome. Ethan noticed. He didn't comment. That made it easier to let them fall. Night settled in fully, bringing with it a cooler air and a quiet so deep it felt intentional. Outside, the land hummed softly, crickets, distant coyotes calling to one another. Clara flinched at the sound. "They won't come near the house," Ethan said calmly. "They know better. Everything out here seems to know better," she said faintly. Ethan paused, studying her. "You wanna tell me what happened?" She hesitated. The words gathered behind her ribs, heavy and sharp. Telling meant remembering. Telling meant admitting she'd trusted the wrong person again. "I was supposed to be heading to my sister's," she began, voice unsteady. "She lives in Abilene. I thought I'd start over there." Ethan listened without interrupting. "The man driving, he offered help when my car broke down. Seemed kind. Said he knew the roads." Her hands clenched in the blanket. "He got angry when I asked him to stop at the next town. Said I was ungrateful. Said I owed him." Ethan's jaw tightened. "When I refused, he threw me out." Just like that. Silence followed, thick and heavy. Ethan stood slowly and walked to the window, staring out into the dark. When he spoke, his voice was low and controlled. "There's men in this world who mistake kindness for weakness," he said. "They're wrong. But they exist." Clara swallowed. "I thought I was stronger than this." Ethan turned back to her. "You survived. That's strength." She looked at him, really looked this time. The lines around his eyes. The weathered calm of his face. A man who'd seen hard things and chosen not to let them harden him. "Why did you stop?" she asked quietly. "You could have ridden past." Ethan shrugged. "Road don't forget people easy. I saw you. That was enough." The house creaked softly as the wind shifted outside. "You can stay here tonight," he said. "Longer, if you need. I'll take you to town in the morning, get that ankle looked at proper." Clara nodded, relief washing through her so strong it made her dizzy. "Thank you." Ethan stood, hesitated, then reached for a blanket from a nearby chair and placed it gently over her. "I'll be in the other room," he said. "If you need anything, just call out." She watched him disappear down the narrow hallway. For the first time since the road, she slept. She woke sometime in the night, heart pounding, breath sharp in her chest. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then she heard the steady tick of a clock, the faint crackle of embers in the stove, the sound of someone breathing nearby. Ethan sat at the table, hat off, sleeves rolled up, cleaning a piece of tack by lantern light. He looked up immediately when she stirred. Bad dream. She nodded, ashamed. I didn't mean to wake you. You didn't, he said. I wasn't sleepin' much anyway. She shifted, wincing as her ankle protested. You don't have to watch me. I know, he said simply. But I will. Something in his tone made her chest ache. You ever think about leaving? She asked suddenly. Ethan considered the question. Sometimes. Then I look around. Land's honest. Doesn't promise more than it gives. She smiled faintly. I could use some honesty. You'll get it here, he said. Whether you want it or not. Morning came slow and golden. Sunlight spilled across the floorboards, warming the room and chasing shadows away. Clara woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of quiet movement. Her ankle throbbed but felt steadier, supported. Ethan brought her breakfast and helped her sit up. You're stubborn, he observed lightly. Didn't move much in your sleep. Too tired to, she replied. He smiled at that. A small thing, but real. After breakfast, he fetched a pair of crutches from the barn. Not pretty, he said. But they'll do. She tried them carefully, leaning on his shoulder as she stood. The room swayed, but she stayed upright. See, he said. Still here. She laughed softly, surprised at the sound. Outside, the land stretched wide and open beneath the morning sky. Clara stood on the porch, breathing it in, supported but standing on her own. For the first time since the road, the future didn't look like an ending. It looked like a beginning.